Welcome aboard the Millennial Falcon. We are parked in the hangar bay today for another routine maintenance, as per usual. Join us for a game of Dejark, sit back, or just to hang out. Make sure to subscribe to the show. And if you want to get an audio-only version of this episode, you can become a patron at patreon.com/starlores. Otherwise, the live stream is always available for free to everyone on the YouTubes. If you just want to watch it or listen to it in the background, you are more than welcome to do that. But otherwise, I am joined once again by Frankie and Christian. How's it going, guys? It's all right.
Yeah.
Good. So we got a few things on the docket today we're going to discuss, and looks like we got some comments already filtering in, so we'll discuss those as well. There's one here I'll discuss, but I'll wait till that particular topic comes up from Jonathan, and then we'll go from there. All right, let's get right into it. The very first topic, the big news. Obviously, this is kind of old news. We kind of go over, the older stuff that's most people have heard already, but we'll give our thoughts and our hot takes. So rumors that Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy is retiring. This is I'm just going to read a bit from the article from IGN.com. Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy has responded to reports that she is set to retire later in 2025. Earlier this week, this is a couple weeks ago now, in late February, Puck News claimed the veteran film producer was looking to retire at the end of her contract this year, which would be 2025. Additionally, the outlet claimed that Kennedy previously considered retiring in 2024, but decided to hold off on making a decision. Well, Variety reported that a source close to Kennedy called Puck's story pure speculation. The Hollywood Reporter also confirmed the report. Kennedy has responded herself, according to Deadline, another outlet. Kennedy is working with Disney boss Bob Iger on a succession plan 13 years into the job with Star Wars Rebel creator and current Lucasfilm chief creative officer Dave Filoni, who is apparently in a strong position to take on the role, basically become the head honcho for Star Wars. However, she did insist, this is a quote from her now, quote, "The truth is, and I want to say this loud and clear, I am not retiring." And then she says, goes on to say, "I will never retire from movies," she continued. "I will die making movies. That is the first thing that's important to say. I'm not retiring." So very confusing. Is she retiring? Is she not retiring? It seems like these reports from multiple reports, pretty big outlets, especially in the media space, are all reporting that their sources are telling them that she is retiring, but she's like sort of giving this very strange answer. First of all, before we get into the good or bad, the over under on Kathleen Kennedy's retirement, what is your first response just to her response about these reports?
So first, I just want to say that sometimes it's good to not be the first to break the news. I know when this announcement came out, like you said, a few weeks ago, everyone was like eager to do their hot takes right away, which makes sense. The whole, being first to a scoop or first to a story. But there's also, I think, value in kind of withholding your opinion and seeing how things play out, especially with anything related to Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm retirement, because this is not the first time we've heard this. That she's been rumored to be getting fired or retiring for years, and people get all excited about it every time it comes up. Now, in this case, it seems like there are a lot more varied sources reporting on it versus like one guy in a basement somewhere. So it seems much more credible now than it has in the past, but at the same time, like, it's definitely boy who cried wolf fatigue going on And then Kathleen's response, it's I'm kind of wondering a few things. One, I'm wondering if it was true, and then they saw how much the internet was celebrating, and then she, wanted to come out and like take a swing back at the fan base, because there's a lot of prominent yeah, and I mean that's 100% like what she's been like so far. So wouldn't put it past her that like this is reactive to the fan celebrations. The way it's worded, her statement is worded, is also a little weird in that like she's saying she'll die making movies generally, but whether or not she'll die making Star Wars movies. So it could be like
being the head of Lucasfilm. That's the question we're asking here. Is we're not asking if she will be involved in Hollywood in some way, shape, or form. I'm sure she will. The question we're asking is, will she are you at Lucasfilm still? So
and that's what I'm wondering, is if it's just a cope answer where she's like, oh, they're celebrating, maybe it's true, but I need to still say something to tell them off, kind of thing. So it could be a cope. It could be that, her and whatever other execs reverse the decision based on the fan reaction and now are like doubling down, as they often do with Star Wars. Hard to say. I'm not putting, again, Boy Who Cried Wolf. I will believe it when I actually see it. I want to see paperwork. I want to see an official transition. Yeah, I'm not gonna celebrate. I'm not gonna hold my breath. The franchise is so broken anyways, like it's hard to be excited regardless. I just, at this point, I'm indifferent.
Frankie, any initial reactions?
Yeah, I kind of akin it to like a bad rom-com movie where it's like, will they, won't they, like on again, off again. I feel like it's kind of been the rumor for like the last 5 years that, she's finally leaving. And I kind of agree with Christian. I wonder how much of it kind of comes down to like that statement sounds very just kind of spiteful and very like, like, oh, you want me to leave? Well, now I'm gonna put 5 more years in just to, like, man, I want to know what kind of dirt she has on like Bob Iger and all that stuff to have been, like the majority of people are very displeased with the job she's done there. And I wonder what, just what hold she has on, and maybe her contract is just so good that like it would be cost them so much more to get rid of her than not, so I don't know. But yeah, if, like I said, I'm kind of fatigued of it at this point. And again, also I kind of like what Christian was saying, just the damage that's been done to the franchise as a whole, and just the overall IP is,
So a couple thoughts, and I'll just throw this out there and see what you guys think. There has been in the past, I can't remember specific examples right off the top of my head, but I know there has been a tactic in media to sort of drum up sort of fake controversies in order, even if it sort of makes you look bad, but in order to like push up numbers, right? Or to push up maybe Disney Plus subscribers, or just traffic in general. And they'll like leak false stories in order to do that. And I don't know if that's, obviously this is pure speculation. I don't know if that's true, but it just wouldn't surprise me if that was the case, that there was something like this going on. But that's one thought. But at the same time, I could kind of see it happening. Like maybe she will be done at the end of this year, and pass the reins on to Dave Filoni. Again, I've said it in the past. I'm not sure that's a definite upgrade. It's a maybe an upgrade. I don't know. Dave Filoni is sort of a big question mark to me, whether or not he's actually capable of doing anything special with the franchise or making it any better. I don't know. But we'll just have to see. I know this also kind of goes along with a sort of theme we've talked about in our previous live streams. I think in the last 2 live streams we did, I talked about headlines where a bunch of like creatives were leaving Lucasfilm and Disney that were involved with Star Wars, especially, you know, in sort of the latest flops. There's a new term for, people are calling it flop busters, you know, where it's like huge movies that are just like, they're spending the farm on them and they are not returning their value. You know,
Yeah.
I think Snow White is in theaters this weekend, or maybe it was last weekend, I don't know, and that one's expected to flop as well. It sounds like the numbers aren't probably not going to be very good. So, and again, that's another Disney project, but yeah, it's totally unsustainable, and the market is going to punish you. And if you don't switch out the people who are heading these projects, it's going to be an issue. But yeah, I don't know. Any more thoughts on Kennedy leaving? Do you guys think? Let's play a game. Let's put a percentage on it. Like, Christian, what is the chances percentage wise that Kennedy leaves before the end of this year?
I'm a little bit more optimistic, again, considering the way it's being reported versus reports in the past, but I'm still gonna put it at maybe 60% that she's gonna leave.
Okay, yeah.
Like I'm open to
that's in the ballpark of what I think too, like 60-70%. I don't think it's a guarantee she's leaving, but
Yeah.
I do think she's probably got an expiry date that isn't much longer.
She's like, is she almost 70?
Oh,
I think
don't
she's
know.
in her 70s.
Yeah,
Really?
like
Wow.
she's got to be up there in
70,
years.
she's 71.
Yeah, I could see that being just that alone, you know. I could see it being here. I'll go with my percentage to match her age. 71% chance she leaves.
Fair enough.
George Lucas is 80, by the way, on the same token.
Oh, so wild.
Yeah. They should let George Lucas come back and do like a one-off film, some story.
There's no way he would do that. There's no way.
I wonder, like, because he couldn't do a sequel, like what story would he do? What kind of a story would he
you know
do?
what they would make a killing on? Because George Lucas gave them all of his scripts for his 7, 8, and 9. If they released those scripts as like a book series, dude, they would make a killing. You know,
that'd be an interesting product, actually. I would be interested in that too.
Dude.
Yeah, if I've heard mixed things of like maybe they're not even that good, but
just
out of curiosity,
just release them as even as scripts, man. If you just release them as scripts and just charge for it, they would make a slaughtering for it.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Rumor just in, Frankie's in for taking over Lucasfilm.
That would be great. Probably an improvement. Anything's an improvement at this point. All right.
I need somebody to stitch whenever. Just one last thing before. Whenever she does actually put in the retirement notice and it's confirmed, I need somebody to stitch in the celebration from the end of episode 1 with that theme song and the passing of the orb and stuff. Somebody needs to stitch that in with the announcement of her retirement.
Or the celebrations in episode 6 after the episode.
Oh yeah, that'd be even better. I just like the song from episode 1. It's very, very catchy.
We'll take either one.
Yeah.
All right. Now, before we go into our next topic, I did want to just plug on a fairly recent partnership we started with a company called Mando. No, not that Mando. They are Mando as in men's hygiene products. They've started partnering with our show. And I actually really like their products. Not gonna lie, they're pretty good. Very simple, very basic, but they sell all sorts of things like body washes, soaps, deodorants, that kind of thing. But anyways, make sure to check out Mando at mando.com, shopmando.com, and you get the starter pack. And if you enter the promo code STAR, STAR, at shopmando.com, that's SHOPMANDO.com, and tell them that the Star Lords guys sent you and you buy that starter pack. It's actually very affordable, and I do recommend the products. I have tried them, and I officially give my endorsements. I have said in the past, we have other products and people have reached out to the show to try and hawk their wares, and most of them I'm not too hot on, but this is good, and I like the thematic name. So go to shopmando.com, buy the starter pack, and make sure to put in STAR for your promo code, and that'll get you about 40% off your product that you buy. So I think it's a great deal, and if you guys want to support the show, make sure to go check that out.
Almost like a bounty of a deal, Jordan.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're gonna get into our next topic here, some Knights of the Old Republic, KOTOR, as it happens. All right, I'm gonna read a headline here from PC Gamer, and then we'll jump in with our thoughts. So it's kind of a funny one. It's tongue in cheek here. KOTOR Remake returns for annual tradition of reminding you it's still alive. But no, you can't hear anything more about it until it comes back next year to say it again. That's excellent. So anyways, in the article, it just kind of goes on to talk about the many rumors over the years of finally finishing the KOTOR story. Though I never really played I never really played Old Republic online. I don't know if it ever wrapped up the story at all in there. I kind of don't think it did. It just was kind of in the same universe.
They they do touch on Bastila and Revan. They do feature quite prominently. Okay. It's not solely around them. I think Bastila is pretty, I guess her daughter or granddaughter is pretty significant, but Revan's story is kind of concluded through it, and kind of everything about Darth Vitiate too comes from it as well.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Anyways, one of the guys at BioWare, so a lot of where this came from, it's the BioWare CCO, Tim Willits. He was posting on X a few weeks back that everything that we have talked about is still in development, but that the studio will only share information on upcoming games when we have something cool to share. He is saying they are doing something with it. They're not saying what. They're still not giving a date. They're still very ambiguous about what's going on with KOTOR. But similar question to our last topic. What do you guys think? Do you think that this is actually going to happen, or do you think this is just bait? And should we take that bait?
I think just like the Kennedy rumors, I mean, this is obviously a little more concrete, but I don't believe we're going to see this thing done. And part of me is okay with that. I mean, they've butchered so many other projects that I will go play KOTOR in its classic format. They've done enough re-releases on modern platforms. If I want to play KOTOR, I'm going to go play KOTOR. I don't need it to be redone, at least not by the level of competence that I've seen come out of the current video game market. So
yeah, fair enough.
I have a vastly different take. So I was actually super hyped to talk about this. Okay. So two things. First of all, Is Tim? I thought Tim Waltz. From what I was reading, I was pretty sure it was. Do you know if Saber is connected to BioWare at all? Because I thought Saber was the company that was taking over the KOTOR reins.
You might be correct on that. I just very quickly scanned this article and read it.
Yeah. Now, whether or not
I could be wrong.
So whether or not I know if Saber is like, sometimes they hire out some of those smaller game studios.
Right. Yeah.
So whether or not they're affiliated with BioWare, I don't know. If that wanted to be fact checked, that could be good. But from what I saw, so I'm actually hyped for this because Saber, I think, has been one of the only game developers that has been making actually good content. That they're an independent studio. They're actually the guys who are behind Space Marine 2, if anybody has played that. And
Okay.
that was a solid game, solid campaign. So the fact that they're the ones taking over KOTOR, I feel like they also just announced Space Marine 3 as well. So I think they've actually got competent guys on it.
Well,
So,
Space Marine has been like super successful.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's primarily because of the studio that it was released with from, right? It's they've also got some other bangers too. I can't remember who. Oh, they're also remaking the new Turok game as well,
Okay.
which looks pretty sweet too. So yeah, because of who's in charge of the game, it excites me. Now going back to, honestly, I have to give a very similar answer to what I gave with Kathleen Kennedy. Is it feels like it's like a bad rom-com where it's on again, off again, will they, won't they? But this one's been, for the same amount of time, 5 years, where they've just been, it's happening. So now, whether or not it's just a reskin or if it's like a full-blown remake, that is the one worry that I do have. Reskins are cool and all, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've played through KOTOR so many times. I'm kind of bored of it. Unless they like maybe added a bunch of new content in it, like actual maybe a new world or new missions or something like that. I probably wouldn't be all that interested in even playing a reskin. But I don't know. Maybe I can be persuaded, but if it is just a remake, I'm not like super excited.
I'm a sucker for a good old reskin. I love like classic games. I am their target audience when they reskin a game and repackage it and sell it to me for another $70. Yeah. I am a shill, so I have no shame in that. Yeah, like a game that I would lose my mind if they reskinned. Dude, Republic Commando, that game. Yeah. Oh, if just anybody, literally all they need is a graphics update. And that game you could take all my money.
Yeah, fair enough.
So if you're listening, Saber, please.
I'm just going to read a comment from the comment section from Jonathan. He says, thoughts on the original KOTOR 3 concept where players come up against the actual Sith Lords who are far more, quote, who are far more terrifying than the Darths that show up and are almost like Lovecraftian monsters, ? I don't know if he's making a suggestion there or if he's actually like saying this was a concept. Is anyone familiar?
Yeah, it was a quote from one of the creatives, Chris Avalone.
Okay.
That was kind of the plan for KOTOR 3 and that they intended to make KOTOR a trilogy. But for whatever reason they didn't go through with it. I'm not sure if that was right after LucasArts or Lucasfilm got sold. I don't know what killed the project, but that was kind of what he has stated was the plan.
No, it had to have been like way before it got sold.
Way before.
Yeah. John says in the comments too, not a different John. He says KOTOR 3 in 2006. I think that was the plan, that it was supposed to come out around 2006.
That's crazy. It's 20 years ago.
Yeah. But yeah, it just like never happened, which I think is a shame. Like, I don't know. I don't know about a sequel this far out. you know, it's like, one, you have a whole new generation of gamers who may have never played it or have any familiarity with the story. So I don't know how it like if you play KOTOR 2, like you can play it just on its own without playing KOTOR 1. Yeah, but there's still something, you really don't feel the full impact of the story unless you play the first one. You know, like I feel like you kind of got to play the first one in order to play the second one. And I just don't know how you would do a KOTOR 3 without having like some base familiarity with the first two, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, Jordan, what you do is you re-release the first two games as reskins.
Oh yeah,
and then you
love it, love this idea. Take all my money right now.
That is true. Yeah.
Conceptually, I think some of these ideas might have translated into the Knights of the Old Republic MMO.
Pretty sure it did.
Especially again with concepts like Darth Vitiate, who are just so powerful and so beyond a typical Sith Lord. So I think some of those elements probably got lifted and just ported into the MMO. I'm sure it's quite different than what maybe they had initially conceptualized. But the other thing too is obviously there's elements too of characters like Abeloth and like the I want to say the Immortals, not the Immortals, the you know, the ones.
Yeah. In that Clone Wars episode.
Yeah. But yeah, like, you know, those big cosmic entities. Yeah. I always struggle with that concept. I'm sure they could, and like BioWare from back then could have done a good job with it, I'm sure. Again, not so much now. But yeah, I'd play it. We don't have much to go off of but this kind of quote from this one guy. So, you know, I believe him, but like I'd need some more details. It's not alien to Star Wars. So I'm just curious where they would have gone with the big concepts like that.
Man, I should replay those games. So good. You guys are giving me mad like KOTOR nostalgia right now. I gotta go back and redo them.
Yeah. Now, I don't know what you guys think about this, but like, I've always kind of wished that they didn't do the Old Republic Online, that they just focused on making KOTOR 3 like and finishing off the series, and maybe focus on the MMO like later after you've completed the series, because I wonder if that like I don't know if I wonder if that like interrupted the progress, and then they got so hyper focused on MMOs, because back then MMOs were like just like all the rage. Yeah. So I think it was probably a business decision, but I don't know that it made that much sense in the long term. You know, like I don't know.
Totally. Even more to that,
all that excited about the Old Republic Online? Is there a lot
even
of
more to even more to that? I think the whole MMO like craze, they even came to it late too. So it didn't even have the same impact that like some of the other. So what they should do is they should release a Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic Battle Royale. Now that whole market is phased out too. And then,
hold that thought. We'll get there.
That is actually very realistic.
We will get there. We're going to touch on the topic of Battle Royale.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Personally, I never even played Knights of the Old Republic Online. So I don't even have anything to go off of it. But I agree. Like the second I don't know, I didn't think it was really attached to the other two games at all. So I kind of lost interest in it. And I agree. I think it would have been really cool had they finished the trilogy and then switched to an MMO and put their efforts into that afterwards, because it always did feel just kind of like an unfinished story.
Yeah. I mean, that MMO like still had great those cutscenes that came out, like they were so dope.
So sick.
Like to this day, I still love those cutscenes that they released, those promos that they released, those like 5-6 minute scenes.
if you haven't seen them in a while, there's probably a few more since the last time. I'd highly recommend you
I'm
YouTube
pretty sure
them.
somebody strung them all together and made like
Yep.
a mini short film out of it, and it's like long. It's like
Yeah.
just
like, I don't know, some peak like 2000 aughts, 2000 teens, like Star Wars, just like
dude,
awesome.
the heyday, the
Yeah.
golden times. Not golden times, but the times were still good.
There was just like so much more. I feel like in that era, maybe we'll go on this tangent for a little bit too. I feel like in that era there was just so much more creativity, and it's
for sure.
it's such a shame that like Lucasfilm or Disney bought Star Wars when it did, because I know there's like some crappy expanded universe stuff for sure, but there's also like a lot of cool concepts they were doing. Like obviously like the Star Wars Legacy stuff, but even like they had really just started going on like the Dawn of the Jedi era, and that was sort of expected to that was going to be the whole next arc of things, which a lot of it seemed like really interesting to me and kept me engaged, but it just kind of all got sort of aborted and with the purchase. And now like the stories are like it seems very tightly controlled, and it's like you will only either write about the inter-movie period of the recent films, or write off of one of the shows, or something in the High Republic era, which I don't know how much longer that's going to last, but that's sort of, I don't know. It's I don't know. It's just, I'm not very excited about any of it.
Yeah. On the list of canceled projects, like Star Wars Level 1313.
To this day, one of the biggest misses.
What could have been. One project that was weirdly canceled, but was like canceled before the Disney purchase too, is Battlefront 3. They canceled that in 2008, but that game was like pretty much done. So it is so crazy that they invested so much, and then just cut its throat right at the end.
Also,
what was the bounty hunter game?
I think that was level 1.
Yeah, that was 1-3.
Okay.
But also on that note, Star Wars Underworld. I don't know if you guys heard about this show that was planned. I think it was actually tied into 1313. I think maybe
was it the live action show they were working on?
It was a live action show.
Yeah.
They had written like 100 episodes of that. They had planned it all out, and it was like it was ready. And conceptually, it sounded like really sweet, and I don't know exactly when. I'm trying to think when it was like slated for release, but it was like going to be very like kind of
era,
gritty, dark, like a lot of like political intrigue, but like mafioso in space, maybe a little bit of a Breaking Bad feel to it, where it deals obviously like with a lot of the crime in the crime syndicates and stuff in Star Wars. And to me, it sounded like so sweet. It just would have been such a cool little world they could have created, right? But unfortunately, it didn't make it.
I read somewhere, whether or not this is true, that it had that project gone through, Disney, like the brand would have been so dark that Disney might not even have bought it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember where I read that or what the source is, but like apparently it was going to be that dark that like it wouldn't appeal to Disney sensibilities. From
that makes me miss it even more, dude.
Whatever.
No, I think if I got like the flavor of it correct, it was kind of like Sopranos, Breaking Bad, sort of in that sort of genre almost. And that obviously going to be like a lot more adult oriented, and that doesn't jive so much with Disney. But
Was it supposed to kind of take over as the next kind of like, you know how they've kind of had their eras during different years, like
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be the next Clone Wars kind of
yeah,
project.
like dark or Shadows of the Empire, Clone Wars, like that kind of theme of stuff. Like it
Yeah.
would have been, you know,
That's my
Underworld.
understanding.
Oh
Yeah.
man, it
Yeah.
would have worked. I'm telling you, just because
Well,
they have the right people in place, people with passion, and I think this kind of goes back to what you were saying, Jordan. Is like that, like they're missing essentially the spark that was making Star Wars work back then. You know, like it's not working right now. Like what they're doing is just it's not having the same cultural impact that all these other ones had, you know.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Whatever like show or story you're gonna write, you really want to have like the identity of it sort of like really pat down. And I think about what they did well with the Mandalorian. It's a spaghetti western. That's what it is. It's sort of like a spaghetti western, and it doesn't try to really be much else other than that. I'm not so sure about the new movie that's gonna come out. I'm a little wary, but we'll see. We'll give her a chance. But if you kind of like have your identity and that's kind of what you are, and just try and be like really tight in the pocket on that thing, rather than I don't know getting uh all in I don't know, getting distracted with other things. And I think Andor does that well too.
I was about to say,
being just like establishing an identity for the show.
yeah, Andor is probably, in my opinion, probably one of the best pieces of content they've put out.
Yeah.
As like expanded universe stuff. I think I don't know. Right now, I'm just kind of chewing over whether or not I think it's better than Mandalorian season 1. Even that's how much I liked Andor season 1. I thought it was very, very good. I'd say it's on par at least with season 1 Mandalorian.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, fair enough. Interesting. Wow. Okay, I wasn't aware of this. John in the comments. Now you guys can fact check this. I don't know if this is true, but he says that Lucas wanted HBO to direct it, and on the day of the meeting with the HBO guys, and sorry, this is in reference to Star Wars Underworld, I believe. The HBO guy got arrested for domestic violence. I guess that was going to be involved with the show, and that kiboshed it.
No way! I did not know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. So
it was so gritty that it even bled into the real world.
The HBO guy that was writing it was a little too familiar with that.
The source material.
Yeah. It's always good to like
the police report is just oddly similar to his scripts.
Yeah, when life imitates art.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into our last topic. We won't spend too much time on this one, but the Star Wars game, Star Wars Hunters, is over. It's done.
It's not over yet. They have announced that they're gonna pull it in, I believe, September this year, but they've announced that they are gonna kill it.
Oh, okay, so it's got a little, yeah. So they just can't pull in enough. But this is like another thing where like it's like I was saying with the KOTOR, or you were saying, Frankie, with the KOTOR MMO, like they were like a little late to the party.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to do like a Star Wars what's the word for it? What's the genre?
It's not a battle royale. It's more of an arena shooter.
Yeah.
Isn't it a hero? What are those called? It's like you have different heroes.
Hero
different
shooter.
Abilities. Yeah, hero shooter. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah, like it's equivalent to like Overwatch or to a lesser extent like Rainbow Six Siege. But yeah, I actually played it recently.
Oh, did you?
I got into it.
Oh, no way.
Late last year I started playing it.
And
it is surprisingly fun, and like even for like, okay, so you can get it on mobile too, is a big thing.
Oh, crazy.
They totally fumbled. The game itself isn't bad, but what they did, I think, is they just fumbled the execution on how they released it. Like I don't think it's even available on PC yet, and it's been out. And then like they announced it, then they kind of like had delays in releasing it, and then they didn't know what platforms they were putting it on. Then it went to mobile, and yeah, it was just like I think it was fumbled in its release and execution because the game itself it's like decently fun, and the fact that you can play it on mobile like is interesting too because like you could take it with you anywhere. So yeah, like as my 30-second review, like definitely worth picking up and playing, but like, and especially if you're into that kind of genre, like not everyone is even into that genre. But that being said, like I think they just fumbled it really. I think it's just incompetence on the marketing and on the porting side of it, of porting it to PC to like grow their their player base.
Man, that is like happening with a lot of games these days. They're just getting like they're either getting indefinitely delayed for their release, they're way over budget, they're way past schedule. It's and then when it does come out, it's full of bugs, full of issues. Just like there's a lot of games like that now. I don't know what it is. It almost and the games are getting so crazy big in scale. Like I wonder if it's just like it's just like too hard to handle that, or is it just incompetent like software engineers? I don't know. I don't know enough about the industry to say.
There is like you just opened a whole can of worms. That could be another 2-hour discussion. I will say that I think it's across the board that we're looking at rampant incompetence and ballooning budgets. Like, and the same goes for movies, for creativity,
shows, everything.
For the gaming industry. Like, they're all in really rough shape right now. Deservedly so. I'm not gonna go to bat for them for it. And I think there's a bunch of compounding factors that are involved, but I think it's a very big discussion that I don't necessarily want to dig into right this minute. But definitely maybe in a future show or episode we can discuss like the broader decline, I guess, in artistic pursuits. The other thing too, I was thinking of, we should totally do a couple of episodes of the main show on canceled Star Wars projects, especially the ones that we have enough detail.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
Like Battlefront 3 or if we can get our hands on canceled scripts and stuff. Yeah,
totally.
That'd be cool.
That's not a bad idea. We'll write it down as a idea. Man, games, it's so weird because even like sequels, it used to take a couple years for a sequel to come out. Like when I was a kid and like way more into gaming than I am now. It was like I remember, Zelda Ocarina of Time came out, and then Majora's Mask came out like maybe 3 or 4 years later. Ocarina of Time came out like near the beginning of N64, and Majora's Mask came out near the end of N64. But like, it's funny because it's basically the same. They didn't really upgrade it at all. It's like basically the same game. You're just at a new world essentially. A few new mechanics, but it's kind of the same game. But like, man, I don't know. It just seems like so hard to get sequels out. Like one famous example, and is becoming more and more of a joke, is the next Elder Scrolls game that I think it was initially like years ago was slated to come out last year, but that now, when is it coming out? Like near the end of this decade, they're expecting
2030,
it to come out.
I think.
Yeah. And then like
or 2028 it might be.
I think it's somewhere near the end, but like GTA 6 as well. And this is like over a decade after the previous game came out, like so long. It's
if you look at the timeline between like Oblivion and Skyrim versus Skyrim and Elder Scrolls 6. To your comments about Ocarina of Time, that came out in 98 and Majora's Mask was in 2000.
Oh, okay, so only 2 years. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I feel like I was
That
about
that
to
even
say,
speaks to it even more.
yeah, I was about to say I thought it was usually like a 2 year turnaround for most sequels. Like one game I was super big into was like the Splinter Cell series, and I remember like I can't remember what the second one is, but then Chaos Theory came out like 2 years later, and then the next one after Chaos Theory came out like 2 or 3 years after that. Like I played all of those between junior high and high school, like the entire series, like so. Now I also wonder if legitimately because graphics are so much better, if it just does legitimately take longer to do stuff, but then also that doesn't speak to the just honestly like the straight up poor game writing and like stories and like all that stuff. Like things just feel so much. Now I will say I recently finished off Jedi Survivor 3, or I can't remember. I think it's called Jedi Survivor.
Jedi Survivor
which is
is
the third
2.
one.
Yeah.
Which is the one after the newest one they did.
I think they only did 2 so far, didn't they?
No.
Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor.
Okay, yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, that one. That one was really good, dude. It was super good. And kind of to what you were saying earlier, Jordan, about Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time. Like, I think sometimes with sequels, people kind of overthink it and they try and reinvent the game. And
Yeah.
I feel like when you're playing a game, you don't want it, you want just new mechanics, like a couple new things is kind of cool, and then you want to continue the story, and the story needs to drive the game, and the game needs to be fun too. But I think
Yeah,
there's some
I totally agree. Like if there's a game I really like, I don't want to like yeah, you want them to make a better version of it in the
yeah,
sequel, but you don't want it to be like
a
necessarily
whole new
yeah,
game. It's
a
not a
whole new
different
game.
game. It's supposed to be part two. You do like
Yeah.
you
You want to
there's
feel some continuity between the two games, you know what I mean?
totally. You
And
just want a
like
little bit more.
going back to the KOTOR 3, like if in like modern day graphics and modern day game scales, like there it feels like you're gonna lose the continuity between the first two games and then the one coming out, 2 decades later or more.
I wonder though if there are if they marketed, so kind of to go back to the, what was the game, Christian Hunt? The one you were playing on mobile?
Jedi
Hunters?
Hunters.
Yeah,
No,
like
just
I didn't
Hunters.
I didn't
Or
even know
Star
that
Wars Hunters, yeah, sorry.
I didn't even know that game was released. Right? Like
Yeah.
that's
So again,
like
that's what goes back to the incompetence on the marketing is that like
yeah,
people didn't even know it was out when it came out.
yeah. If they did a KOTOR 3, but they marketed it to people who've played KOTORs 1 and 2, us, like,
Yeah.
do you think that would be like a good strategy even, or getting people? Because, I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, probably. You probably want to do some nostalgia baiting, right? Like you want to
Mhm.
get the people who enjoyed the original games to get excited about it. That's probably where you're going to get a lot of the initial excitement for the game. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. It's tough, and going back to Star Wars 2, it's like, gaming has always been like an integral part of Star Wars. I feel like it's really been it is like a lot of Star Wars games have become canon lore.
Mhm.
And it's if you want to sort of really immerse yourself in the Star Wars universe, like you have to also do Star Wars games. I feel like that's almost an essential
Yeah, they go
part if
hand
you
in
really
hand, I think.
yeah, it's watching the films, and then the next I would say is like reading the books or the graphic novels, and the next uh, is playing the games, and immersing
Honestly, I
yourself
think
in
more
the
people
universe.
play the games than do the comics.
I would
Yeah.
agree.
Oh yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I agree. It could be one or the other, but like if you're gonna immerse yourself in the universe, like it's those three things, right? Like obviously everyone's gonna watch the movies, but it's yeah, if you really want to get into the universe, and the games are always so cool because they a lot of writers I find on games like seem to really care about the universe that they're working in, and there's always like fun little Easter eggs and references to other parts of the Star Wars universe in most Star Wars games I've played. That that's just like always really cool. And again, it immerses you in the Star Wars universe. And it would be nice if we had like some more consistency, with the games, and they didn't screw up like Star Wars Hunters. But like you said, there are some, I don't want to totally poo-poo them, but obviously there's some Star Wars games that have been decent recently.
Kind of to go back to what you were saying earlier, though, the one thing I want to bring up is like I think like the ideas of games that they were putting out were all just so, I don't know, so unique at the time. And like just comparing like two Starfighter games, like what was that one where Christian, when it was on N64 and it was like you were a pilot on Naboo and it was all just flying ships?
Yeah.
Do you remember that one? Rogue Squadron. Rogue Squadron, dude.
Well, there was
That
the Rogue
one?
Squadron, and then there was they did
There's another one too.
prequel one after it.
Yeah, those were sick. And I just recently played the Squadrons, like Star Wars Squadrons for like the Xbox, and it's just not good, dude. Like it's just not. And like that in concept, I feel like the story is uninteresting, the gameplay is repetitive and like not very, I don't know.
I will say that game, like it looks really good. I did try and play it a little bit. I couldn't get into it, but no shade on my brother, but he really liked that game. So, but
yeah. But like,
I couldn't really get into
Rogue Squadron itself, dude.
Oh yeah,
that game was sick, man. Such a good game.
But even things like Star Wars Racer, Episode 1 Racer.
Oh yeah, dude.
It's like such a great idea for a Star Wars, a unique Star Wars game, but it's also like just a racing game, But it I feel like George Lucas wrote Episode 1 specifically for this video game
as a marketing vehicle.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. The other big thing is Lucasfilm also had LucasArts. So like kind of back to supporting what you were saying is like
cohesiveness.
Yeah, and Lucas cared enough. He wasn't outsourcing games to like a million different gaming developers. He did all that kind of almost in-house or created a studio in-house. And they killed LucasArts too, by the way. And that's what happened. They started outsourcing to like Ubisoft and a bunch of other developers.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, like you have Lucasfilm. Obviously, Lucas cared so much that he created a film company to support his work, but also LucasArts to support the video game side of it. So, I mean, it more praise to the video game aspect.
Do you guys remember, sorry, the last video game thing? Do you remember in the old theaters where they would have that trench run game and it would turn into, like, it would always have a preview of the last level you had to get to where you were Luke Skywalker fighting Darth Vader with like the green lightsaber on the joystick? I wanted to beat that game so bad. I could never get through the trench run. And to this day, I don't know if you do ever actually fight as Luke Skywalker fighting Darth Vader with the lightsaber on the last level. So if somebody has played that and knows, please comment.
It's an arcade game.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember that game, but
oh really?
I'm sure it baited you into paying way too much money for it. In the comments, we say Delta Squad says he asked if did anyone hear about the second season of Andor? Did any of you guys? I haven't watched the second season.
It's coming out in April, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Oh, it's not even out yet. Okay.
Have you not seen the first season, Jordan?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you have? Okay.
I wasn't sure if the second season was out yet.
Yeah, this year. It's either April or May. I can't quite remember.
April 22.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm hyped for it. I'm psyched to watch the next season.
Yeah.
I thought they did a great job with it. It looks good. The acting was really good in it. I'm very curious to see the next one.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it is interesting. That's like a couple bright spots from Disney is like it is Rogue One and then the spin-off Andor. Kind of like some bright spots from Disney. Hopefully some more good stuff comes out from there. But you guys have any more closing thoughts before we wrap this sucker up?
No.
I think.
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us in this live stream. We're going to do it again in April. We'll plan another day, and always fun to have people jump in on the comments and talk in the discussion. We're also open to having like a fourth chair on the actual stream. So if someone wants to hop on, just send me a message on Discord is pretty good, but even any of our social media. So if you search the Star Lords podcast in Facebook, Instagram, or x.com and just let us know. We're definitely open to having someone else jump in on a live stream. And sometimes we also put these live streams on the regular podcast feed as well. Yeah, if you're interested in that, make sure to reach out to us, send us a message, and follow us on all the social medias. Any questions, comments, things you want to discuss, email is starlordspodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget to become a patron, patreon.com/starlords, and you can get access to all of the bonus episodes that are behind the paywall. Other than that, I think that's all I got for today. Thanks. We'll see you guys later.
See ya.